Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. A new bill was introduced in the Senate this week that would prohibit large institutional investors from owning single-family homes. And while that sounds great on paper, I want to discuss the implications for existing homeowners if this bill is signed into law, as well as forced evictions that it would result in. This new bill is titled the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act. It aims not only to ban hedge funds from owning large portfolios of single-family homes, but also to force them to sell their portfolios. The language of the bill is rather vague when it comes to the definition of a large investor, and it technically even includes RETs, real estate investment trusts. This bill aims to improve housing affordability as it is presented. The cost of housing in the United States, of course, as we all know, is at an all-time high. After skyrocketing nearly 40% during the pandemic, U.S. home prices are currently less affordable than at the height of the 2006 housing bubble. The gap between a typical monthly mortgage payment and a monthly rent payment has been closing. The average monthly lease payment has increased to $2,184, while the monthly mortgage payment has skyrocketed to $3,322. This new bill would require hedge funds to sell their single-family homes over the next 10 years. This bill would also prohibit them from owning any single-family homes going forward, so they will not be able to repurchase anything. It was introduced by Representative Adam Smith, a Democrat from Washington, and Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon, who said the housing should be for people, not profit centers for Wall Street. In every corner of the country, giant financial corporations are buying up housing and driving up both rents and home prices. It's time for Congress to put in place common sense guardrails that ensure all families have a fair chance to buy or to rent a decent home in their community at a price that they can afford. Of course, it sounds great on paper, but does it really make sense in reality, in real life? It was introduced in the Senate. Now, another bill was introduced in the House, an entirely separate bill that would discourage Wall Street's involvement in the housing market by charging investors who own more than 75 homes an annual fee of $10,000 per home. Now, here's the catch. The money would be pulled into a housing trust fund, and it is unclear who would be the manager of the trust fund, and then subsequently the funds would be used to support families with down payments. The largest investors in single-family homes right now are Blackstone and Starwood Capital. Investors own roughly 30% of homes this year. According to CoreLogic data, California, Washington, D.C., Georgia, New Mexico, and Texas are the places with the highest institutional investor ownership. This bill has many potential outcomes if it does become law. First and foremost, the bill will force evictions of millions of tenants over a short period of time. It's calling for large investors to sell properties over a span of just 10 years. Hedge funds would be forced to sell at least 10% of the total number of single-family homes that they currently own to families per year over a 10-year period. After a 10-year full phase-out, all hedge funds will be completely banned from owning any single-family homes. So it's going to result in millions of people, many of whom are unable to purchase a home for one reason or another, regardless of what the rate is, regardless of home prices are, they will be in the street. These people will have to resort to renting an apartment, so the price of rentals will likely increase due to such a strong demand. The second outcome to consider here are home prices. With so much new inventory being available on the market periodically, right? So it's 10% of their existing portfolios every single year that has to be put on the market. Prices will drop. Everyone who purchased a home after 2019 will likely be upside down on their mortgages. They won't be able to sell unless they're willing to take a significant loss. The third issue is the degree of government intervention into what should be a free market economy. A free market is one where voluntary exchange and the laws of supply and demand provide the basis for the economic system without government intervention. So in this particular case, they're trying to solve the housing affordability crisis, which without a single doubt must be addressed. It should have already been addressed. But they choose to do so in a way that puts millions of people on the line. And not just puts them on the line, it's a situation when they may potentially see their home prices plummet. Approximately 66% of all Americans live in their homes. That is about 230 million people who would be affected by the housing market being flooded with single-family homes that were previously rentals. Potentially, if this bill is signed into law, we would see a complete chaos in the housing market. And arguably, the bill actually completely fails to address just how anyone who is currently renting, who is barely making ends meet, will be able to buy a property then. Many of these people would become evicted. So do the sponsors of the bill think that once they get evicted because the government told their corporate landlords to sell their properties, do the people who wrote this bill think that the next thing that these people will do is go buy a house? A housing economist, Kevin Erdman, who happens to believe that the lack of the housing supply in the United States stems from underbuilding for decades, has the following to say about this new bill. As the result of the regulatory tightening after 2008, we need millions of new homes, and this new bill would force builders to sell them piecemeal, a few at a time. Rents are already undermining this country's economic fairness and capacity. I shudder to think of the potential ramifications of this travesty. If this passes, I cannot fathom a functional source of new housing that could stop the bleeding in American rent inflation. It remains to be seen if this bill passes. This is a highly controversial one in my opinion. There's a very high likelihood that it will not gain enough support, but of course we will see, and I will keep you updated. Do you believe that this bill is a good idea? What would you have done differently? Comment down below, let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for your time. Give this video a like and subscribe to my channels on Rumble and on YouTube if you enjoy this type of content. And don't forget to follow me on Substack. I will see you in my new one tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.